get started. So on that basis, my name's Laura. I work for 7 insurance brokers and I am the Health and Wellbeing Manager. I am a registered nurse and also a second-year psychology student, but I am always up to learn new things. And so today we have Fernanda, who is going to impart a whole heap of knowledge in regards to nutrition. Obviously, times have been different, probably routines have been thrown out, even maybe eating habits have changed. So hopefully this session will get you back on track and kind of learn some new skills about what we are eating and how it can affect our bodies as well. There is a question and answer box at the top. So anybody who wants to ask questions throughout, you're more than welcome to pop them in there and we will answer them sometimes on the way, or we might wait until the very end as well. But on that note, I am going to hand you over to the very knowledgeable Fernanda, who is going to, like I said, impart a whole heap of knowledge into you today for this session. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming to this session. I'm very excited, and I hope to impart some knowledge to you. And as Laura said, any questions, I'm happy to answer. I'm Fernanda. I'm a nutritionist. I had a bachelor in human nutrition, and I also have a master's of science in applied nutrition in a concentration in weight management. I have over 5 years of experience working with people with metabolic disorders and mainly weight management, but I've also helped people like in fitness and sports. So today we are going to talk about wellness and how it directly correlates with nutrition. I hope you enjoy the session. And okay, so we can start. I will share the presentation now.
I wanted to jump in and say as well that Fernanda works very closely with a company called Meals on Me. It's a very well-known company here in the UAE who does meals as well. So we'll come back and touch a little bit more about that towards the end as well.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I forgot to mention it. I got nervous.
Oh, you're doing amazing.
Does everyone can see my presentation now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, so let's start with what is wellness. I'm sure many of us hear this word like every day, and we maybe have a hint on what it means. But I guess most of us related to maybe looking good, feeling good, but wellness, it involves a lot of things. So let's first start by understanding what it actually means. So wellness, it's a positive state of being, meaning that it's dynamic, it gives like mental clarity, it means that you have a high level of health, but that is not only the absence of disease. So it's not like, okay, I'm fine because I could be worse. It's I'm fine, I am healthy, I am in my best optimal state. It's also important to know that wellness is an active pursuit of conscious choices. So wellness, it's not something that you are, it's not something that it's there, it's something that you choose to be, and it's a choice that you make every day. So it's something that you are actively pursuing. And mainly, this is also very important, it's multidimensional. So it's not only that you are well or that you have wellness because you are physically well. It's also that you are mentally well. It's also that you are emotionally well. And it's also even like socially, you need to be well. And this phrase here, I just love it because it's wellness means you are thriving instead of just surviving. So maybe for a lot of people, it's like, okay, I'm fine. Nothing hurts. Like most of the time I'm happy, but are you actually thriving? Are you like completely good in all these dimensions, or are just like going, like living your days like in a survival mode, it makes a huge difference. So this is all what wellness means. Now, what are these dimensions of wellness? We have four main dimensions. First, it's the behavior modification. And here we talk about what are the choices we make that are good choices, that makes us better. So for example, quit smoking, or stop drinking, or have healthy relationships, or sleep early, have a good sleep hour schedule. So this is like about all the choices that you can make that can change your behavior. Then, of course, it's also the mental and emotional well-being. This is talking more about how are you mentally, like your mindfulness, if you feel good, if you are not depressed or like in a bad mental shape. Then we have physical activity. So this, of course, is how active you are. Do you make exercise? Is your daily life more sitting at the work or at home, or you walk, or I don't know, you walk to the work or to the groceries instead of just like using the car. Physical activity in general. And then it's also diet and nutrition. So how healthy is your diet and how are you eating? And this is in what we are going to focus today. So how can we see nutrition as the center of wellness? So when we talk about nutrition, it's like the main choice you can do. If you say like that, a choice of eating healthy, it would be the first and main step to care for yourself. Why? Because if you have a good and healthy diet, you are giving your body, putting your body in its most optimal state to perform, to fulfill, and to adapt to changes, and to, yes, perform all the roles in its highest optimal state. So it's actually like working in a white canvas. So if you have this white canvas, you can do whatever out of it, instead of having something that it's already, you have to work around it. So that's why nutrition is the center of wellness. And this is what we are going to see now. So nutrition not only fuels, so it's not only that we get the energy out of the food, but it also informs and regulates every system in our body, impacting from mood to movement and even cellular repair and immunity. Let's start talking about gut health. I'm sure that also, like, most of you have heard a little or a lot about how now the gut is even being called our second brain. And it's actually because the gut and our brain are connected. It's like you can even say they act as best friends. So it is even like a continuous and like direct communication between both of them. So the gut health is mainly our microbiome, which is composed of the good bacteria that we get. How does it influences metabolism, hormones, and emotions? So we, as I was telling you, the brain and the gut have direct communication. So if you have a calm and healthy microbiome, meaning you have more good bacteria than bad bacteria, the gut will send a signal to your brain saying everything is okay. So your body would be in a calm state. Also, these good bacteria are the responsible or producing up to 70% of our serotonin. That it's the chemical that makes you feel happy or that makes you feel good. What else? The inflammation process. So if your gut health is good, if you have a great amount of good bacteria, it will tell your brain, okay, we are good, and there's no inflammation process. So everything will work okay. Even like in the lining of your gut, when you have good bacteria acting, everything will be metabolized as it should. While if you don't have these good bacteria, you might have, for example, I don't know if you've heard about the leaky gut. This is when some of the toxins get filtered into your bloodstream. So this causes a state of inflammation, and it can even um, it can even affect your emotions. It can even give you like brain fog. So it's directly related to the emotions and to your state of well-being. And also, we can talk about the immune system. Even like the immune cells are processed in the gut. Hormones like estrogen are also directly related and have its metabolism directly linked to the gut health. So this is one way and about how nutrition can impact our health. Why? Because to have a good health in your gut, to you need the good bacteria, and this we can do mainly through nutrition. So if we get two ways of nurturing our gut. First, prebiotics, that it's having a diet that it's rich in fiber, which is the main source of food and energy for our good bacteria, and then eating directly the good bacteria, which is probiotics like yogurt, like kefir. And so if we have a good diet, we have a good healthy gut, and consequently we have these benefits. Then mental health. How can nutrition affect our mental health? If we have a good nutrition, we can have reduced inflammation, and this is mainly linked also to the blood sugar balance. So what happened? When we have a healthy diet, our blood sugar is stable through the day. So our body works as it's supposed to work. But if we have spikes in sugar, so if our blood sugar is high, this is telling our body, hey, something's happening. Then cortisol you get a spike in cortisol, that it's the stress hormone, and this will lead your body to start this unbalanced state that will make it enter a process that will make you even feel depressed. So it can cause brain fog also. And even people with diabetes are more at risk of developing depression. Also, if you have low sugar, this can also related to cortisol and adrenaline, that are our stress hormones. It can make your body enter this fight or flight state where you feel more anxious. So it also, if you have a good diet that makes your blood sugar stable, it can also help you have a good mental health, or at least having like the best optimal state to work on your mental health. Then in nutrition and movement, if we have a balanced macronutrients, we can optimize our performance. So of course, if our body has the nutrients that it needs, it can perform better. It can make you feel energized to complete exercises or to fulfill what you want to fulfill, to repair your muscles so you can be in a better state of body composition, and of course giving you better energy levels. Then also nutrition can impact our sleep. So how it works directly with the melatonin and serotonin cycles. So as I told you in the beginning, in our gut, we produce most of the serotonin in our body. And serotonin is the chemical that it's high at the beginning of the day. And during the day, it transforms, it's like it works as a precursor to melatonin, which is the chemical that is the responsible or making us feel sleepy and getting into a deep sleep state. So if we have a good amount of serotonin, consequently, we will have a good amount of melatonin that will make us have good sleep cycles. And then again, the blood sugar instability can also disrupt our deep sleep because same as I was explaining before, if we have spikes in our blood sugar, this is related to cortisol and adrenaline levels, and this can interrupt the sleep, and or it can make you prone to have insomnia, to have awakenings during the night, or even making it difficult to sleep in the first place. And then we also have nutrition in the social context, social well-being. So nutrition is a very important part of our connection, of our culture. Most of us have the moment when we meet with our loved ones or with our friends, it's through eating, through meals, even like special celebrations are all around food. So this like putting aside that maybe when we get reunited to it, it's not like the best food choices or it's a lot or like we are not thinking about the diet or something, but it's the moment we share together that it's very nurturing and that it's very important for our well-being and for this wellness that we are talking about. So even in this part, nutrition is important. So to continue, now that we know how important is nutrition for wellness, let's ask ourselves, are we following nutrition guidelines? Like most of us, in like talking globally, are not following the guidelines. And here is how can we say that? Because most of the deaths, most of the global causes of deaths are cardiovascular diseases, and mainly non-communicable diseases. That means that chronic diseases that are caused out of a poor diet or a poor physical activity or directly linked to poor nutrition. Okay, so how can we say that? Because most of our diets have too much salt, too much sugar, they are rich in saturated fats, and they have not enough fiber. And all of these are the main cause of diseases like hypertension, diabetes, that then would lead to cardiovascular diseases. So no, we are not following the nutritional guidelines. What would be some barriers to follow the nutritional guidelines? So sadly, one of these barriers is affordability. Not all the healthy foods, like for example, most of the time, vegetables, fruits are the most expensive foods, or even like when we talk about non-processed foods, sometimes are much more expensive than processed foods or, unhealthy foods. Then availability. Not all the healthy foods are available for everybody. Maybe here we are very lucky to have availability to most of the foods, but in some parts of the world, availability is not always there. There are food deserts. Some parts of the world don't have, depending on the seasons, don't have always vegetables, fruits, or other healthy foods available. Then I think one of the most important barriers might be knowledge, because not all of us know how to eat or know what is best for us or what can we choose as a healthy diet. And then there's also cultural behavior and taste preferences. So in some cultures, you don't eat, for example, some cultures are vegetarian, some cultures are not eating. For example, here we have Ramadan, that it's something so important for the culture, but it can, if you don't manage it good, it can maybe affect your nutrition at some point. So these are all things that we can have in mind that might be barriers and that we can manage better to have a better nutrition and consequently to be well. So how can we achieve good nutrition? First, variety. So variety is very, very important in nutrition. Most of us tend to have the same foods all the time. But for example, if we have the food pyramid, right? So we have groups of foods that you can recognize by its main nutrient. So we have bread and rice. We know that both of them might be known because they are starches and they provide carbohydrate as its main nutrient, but they don't have the same nutrients. So this is a very simple example, but if we translate it to, for example, beans, beans are also very high in carbohydrates, but they are also high in fiber, and they have another type of nutrients, talking about vitamins and minerals that give you different things. So if we rotate our foods, and I'm talking about different colors in our salads, different fruits, different type of starches, different type of protein. So we know that beef and chicken and fish, they are all meats and they are all giving us protein. But for example, in fish, we can have more omega-3s. In certain types of beef, compared to chicken, we can have more iron, like these type of things. If we vary our diet, we have more nutrients, more minerals, more fiber. We have a lot of what we need instead of just eating always the same. That might keep us like in a good state, but not giving us like the best we can get. Then fiber, we really need to start prioritizing high fiber foods. This is something that most Western diets lack. And as I was telling you in the beginning, fiber is directly related to our gut health because it acts as a precursor or as a food for the good microbiome. So we need to increase our vegetable consumption. We need to eat around 4 or 5 portions of vegetables per day, fruits, and with fruits, I mean the whole fruit, not only juices, because when we have the whole fruit is when we have fiber. Nuts, seeds, and whole wheat carbohydrates. So we can have the whole wheat bread instead of the white bread, and also this with rice, the with pasta. We can like have some days the white, some days the whole wheat, but try to introduce more fiber to the food. This is very important. We need to also limit salt, sugar, and saturated and trans fats. This we can mainly achieve by trying not to always choose processed foods and ultra processed foods. And this is something I think it's very difficult now because we live in a world where processed foods are readily available and they are cheap and they are tasty. So it's something that it's a great barrier, but it can help make a huge difference. And we will talk about the processed foods more in detail later. Then increase water consumption. Our body needs water to complete all its metabolic paths, and it's very important for us to feel hydrated. So water, meaning pure water, not coffee, not tea, not juices, but water, just water. It's very important that we drink at least 2 liters of water per day. and then also meet our needs. So this means that you need to eat for what your body needs, answer your body needs, and not only about what amount of energy, but what physiological state are you into? Like, what's your age? What if it's a woman? Are you pregnant, or are you postpartum, or menopause, or even like girls in early age? They need different things, or when elderly, they need different things. So, not only your caloric needs, but only your physiological state. What are your needs, and what are you doing in your daily life? How you can work nutrition around that. So this is also very important. And talking about that, a calorie is just a calorie. This is a question that is very important, because I think when we talk about diet and we talk about healthy eating, most of us think, and even now with all the apps that we use, we are saying like, okay, I need this amount of calories in a day to to eat good. But how we choose those calories, it's very important. So actually, a calorie, as I told you in the beginning, nutrition, it's not a way to fuel our body. It's also what regulates and informs metabolism. So calories are only the energy measurements of that function. So they don't dictate quality. They only say, okay, this is the energy you are getting out of this food, but what else are you getting out of it? Here we have a very good example that I really like, that it's a can of soda can give you 100 calories, but also a bunch of nuts, a handful of nuts can give you 100 calories. But what is the difference? In the nuts, we get fiber, we get good type of fats, and we get protein. But with the soda, we mainly get sugar, and we also get preservatives and colorants and all these types of processed ingredients. So different foods trigger different metabolic responses, and they can affect hormones and metabolism. So all of these matters, because the body is a complex system, and digestion, microbiome, hormones, sleep, stress, muscle mass, all influence how calories are used. So you can say, yeah, you can have two people eating the same amount of qualities, but the same amount of calories, but if the qualities in their foods are different, you will see a totally different result. So a calorie is not just a calorie, and we need to focus a lot in quality of our foods. So now is why we talk about processed foods and how are they impacting our life, our daily lives. So ultra-processed foods are industrial formulations made mostly from refined ingredients, additives, and little or no whole food. What are the examples of ultra-processed foods? Sweetened drinks, chips, instant noodles, fast food, processed meats, and packaged snacks. These are foods that I think we see every day, and most of us, we eat a little or a lot of them on a daily basis, because they are made to do that. They are highly palatable, they are energy dense, but they are also nutrient poor. So same as in the example of the soda and the nuts. They have a lot of calories, but maybe very little nutrients that don't help us. They are convenient and cheap. Convenient because we can find them almost everywhere, and they are also cheap compared to having I don't know, something, as I was saying before, ironically, always vegetables and I don't know, foods like quinoa that we consider superfoods are more expensive than the ultra processed foods. And they are also aggressively marketed because the food industry is huge. So most of us, we will be reading and looking into all these ultra processed foods that are even marketed as, okay, this is low in sugar, this is low in fat, this doesn't have trans fats, or low in cholesterol. And we see it and we say, okay, this is what I'm looking for, this is healthy, but we don't know the whole thing behind. And I know it's very difficult. It's not that we can say like out of a sudden, like, okay, I'm going to stop eating ultra processed foods. So here are some recommendations to make better choices. So the 80-20 rule is that try to eat 80% of the time home cooked meals versus fat food. So 80% of the time you would cook home meals that you can control what are the nutrients, what are you using, the amount that you are using. And then 20% of the time you can get fast food that you don't really have a control over it, but maybe you can do the best choice you can. Then even when we are choosing processed foods, we can upgrade it and we can choose a better alternative. So for example, instead of choosing swap sweetened yogurt, you can choose plain yogurt and combine it with fruit. So how does it make it better? If you take one yogurt that it's like, I don't know, strawberry flavor, you will see that it has most likely sugar or some sweetener. But if you get the plain yogurt and you add fruit, you will get the fiber from the fruit and you will have less sugar, so it will help you. And then, for example, swap a hot dog with a whole grain sandwich with lean meat or eggs. So you have protein and you have also the bread, but you can choose to have the whole wheat have more fiber and have less fat or a better type of fat by choosing this sandwich instead of the hot dog. Then you can also eat most of the foods with recognizable ingredients. And this is very important. The shorter the ingredient list, the better, because food is something that we all know, we see, we recognize. But when we see a label that has most of the ingredients we cannot even pronounce, it's a hint that you are not eating something natural. It's actually something that it's very produced and so all in all, wellness is an active pursuit of well-being that involves many dimensions of each individual's lifestyle. As I was telling you, we have mental, emotional, and a good nutrition can be obtained by following simple and consistent steps. So that's also very important. And I want to be like I want to highlight this part because consistency is key. We also live in a world where diets are all over the place, and every time there is a new diet that gets popular and people does it and then they reach their goals and then they ditch it and then they start eating again the same way that they used to eat. But nutrition is a lifestyle. It's eating healthy. It's a lifestyle. You cannot just choose to eat healthy until you reach your goal and then, okay, I have the weight I want. I'm okay. I will continue to ignore the other things. You need the first actual red flag that you should see on a diet is that if you are making a diet that you cannot do during your whole life, then it's not for you, because when you change your diet, it should be something that it's forever. It's, again, consistent steps that can be small, like one step at a time, but can last the whole life, because this will make your body, again, be in its optimal state to have its highest potential. So that's it for today. I hope you like it. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you so much for that. Even I learned a lot there. I think sometimes we just forget when we're in those busy days where we just kind of feel like we just need to tick a box, but you really do need to know the importance of making sure that, you know, you're putting the right fuel into your body.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? You're more than welcome to unmute yourself and ask, or pop them in the chat box. No? Not at the moment. Yes, we do have a question.
Yeah, just thank you first of all for the session, Laura and Maria. Just a quick one on taking supplements, how bad this can get if I think many people take things like omega-3, protein powder, multivitamins all together almost daily. What's your opinion in that? Thanks.
I think multivitamins and protein can be good support for most of us, but I don't think they are necessary. So you can get all the vitamins and all the protein through diet. Now, I understand that our lifestyle, it's not always allowing us to have the best diet. So, for example, in order to, let's say you are a person that you go to the gym and you want to increase your muscle mass, right? And you need to increase your protein intake, but maybe you don't have the time to have a huge breakfast and then have the protein you want at lunch, and then at dinner. Most of us are tired to cook, or maybe don't have the money to pay for the meals. But in these cases, protein can be good if you don't have the time, if you don't have the means. So it won't harm you. But I think you can get it without you can get the same results only with diet and not with the supplement. Same with vitamins. If you have a good diet and you have all the food you need, you won't need supplementing vitamins or minerals because you are already getting them from your food. But maybe if you don't get the chance to have a healthy diet, you can benefit from vitamins and minerals that you are not getting in your diet. But I do think that also supplements is a huge industry that most of the times make you think that you need this to be healthy, and it's not exactly like that. I don't know if I'm explaining it well, if it's clear. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any other questions? Fernanda, I just wanted to say thank you so much for that session. Yeah, very educational, and you're very, very good at what you do. So thank you very much for spending your time talking to us today. If anybody does have any questions, you're more than welcome to send me a message. I'll pass them on, and then I can pass the answer back to you, or you can contact direct. And we were also talking about earlier that Fernanda works very closely with Meals on Me, which is very, they were very happy to help organise this session for you. We do have a discount code as well, so we'll make sure we share that with you as well. But yeah, and I'll let you, if there's anything else that you wanted to say to finish up today's session. Yeah.
Thank you all for assisting. I hope you really enjoyed the session. I hope it was something that helped you make better choices in your daily life. And any question you need, even if it's later, maybe you can let me know through Laura. I'll be happy to answer.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week ahead. Thank you.